Hi everyone, I am Cristi Cons and I've been producing electronic music for 15 years now. Today we're in Noisis Music Studio, a space I share with my friend Misha Blanos, pianist and composer. And we're just gonna cover a normal day of my workflow and production process. In my early years of production, I was making music on a computer since I didn't have access or money to buy equipment. And then slowly, after purchasing my first drum machine, afterwards a mixer, a synthesizer, I think the first one was a microKORG. Then I've started changing my workflow into a analog hybrid setup. This is my hardware rig. It has obviously a couple of drum machines and synthesizers. I couldn't afford an actual 909 and 808, so I got these DIN-Sync clones, which I love. They sound 99% as the originals. Everything is sequenced from the Circlon, which connects this rig into one MIDI port, and then everything spreads out into the instruments. The second one would be the modular synthesizer, the SH-101, the CS-80 clone, the Decker's Dream, and the Roland GV-1080. And the ones that don't fit on the mixer are patched into a patch bay, and I can basically just switch and patch anything that I want to use at a specific point in time. When the studio became bigger, I felt the need to incorporate an interface which can basically multi-track all of my instruments at once. The one that I chose was the Orion Plus because it covered basically all of my needs, and I could also route everything through effects without putting any burden on my processor. That was a very important feature at the time because computers were not as powerful as today. The way it's set up on the mixer is I have drum machines on the first 8 channels, or actually 6 channels, and then this is the 303 or the 808 and 303. So maybe just the 303 is over here, and then it's all synths, and the last 8 are for guests that come into the studio, my computer and Misha's computer. If I want to record something, the direct outs of the mixer are patched into the Orion Plus. They were previously pre-faders, so I was basically just going through the preamp into the interface. Now it's post, so if I add an EQ, it's gonna be printed into the computer. But what I would usually do is actually do effect chains into the Orion Plus control panel. So if the 909 is going into channels 1 and 2, I would have, let's say, an effect chain that looks like this on channel 1 and 2. On 3 and 4, I would do a separate effect chain, and I could print this out depending on the track that I'm working on, or actually save the session, and that's the session for the specific project. And for another session, I would use a different effect chain, and so on and so forth. Recently, I've started working with vocalists and live musicians for future projects. So I incorporated the Orion Studio for its preamps and effect chain, and the fact that I can basically track everything with almost zero latency.
I grow strong through the rhythm of your heart. I grow strong through the power of your love. Mie nu-mi place cum... adică simt că ar trebui să mai fie ceva între bucata asta inițiu și refren. Mi se pare că e prea mare diferența între ele, și de vibe și de linie.
Ca să nu se audă. Așa era. So I'm currently working on a vocal track where I had my friend Leia come in and sing over this instrumental that I've produced. And for this session, I've used the Orion Studio as the main interface. What I really liked about the UI from the get-go was the fact that I can either open or close any of the rows of like preamps, mic emulations. I'm not using a mic emulation in this case, so I can just turn it off. ADAT in and out I'm not using, so I currently have I'm just using the preamps, AFX, and mixers. So the way I set it up, I send the microphone preamp into an AFX channel, and then the AFX out is going into the first input channel of Ableton Live. For the AFX processing chain, I've used a clean EQ, just rolling out some bottom end, and then a compressor to tame the dynamics, later going into this Neumann 492 clone for some top end shine. And I really like how this sounds, so I was very happy with the chain. But just in case maybe Leia wanted a different effect chain, I've also sent the dry signal of the microphone on a second channel, and I've recorded both just so we can compare.
I grow strong through the rhythm of your heart. I grow strong through the power of your love. I grow strong every time you look into my eyes. I grow strong through the rhythm of your heart. I grow strong through the power of your love. I grow strong every time you call my name.
And then to monitor, I've used the mixer, so I've sent the output of Ableton Live on channels 1 and 2, and then on channel 3 and 4, I've sent the process signal of the microphone going into Auraverb, which sounds really, really nice, and the unprocessed signal, which is currently muted, so because we don't need it. So I haven't we're not monitoring it, we're just recording it for future need. I found the layout super helpful, having the first 4 inputs on the front end of the unit, because I could quickly route the microphone. Or if I have multiple musicians, I can use the first 4 as high impedance instrument inputs, and the FPGA DSP technology, which allows me to track everything through the effects with almost zero latency.